Introduction to Formulas and Calculations. As you've no doubt seen so far in this course, Excel 2013 has many features and capabilities that you probably weren't aware of. But let's face it, the ability to use formulas and perform calculations is the bread and butter of Excel. If you use spreadsheets to do accounting for business, track totals, invoice customers, or anything that requires mathematics, Excel's ability to calculate formulas is going to save you errors and headaches. Best of all, Excel calculates the formulas right inside the cell, so there's less work to do. Mathematical operators. The main ingredient in any formula, aside from the numbers, are the mathematical operators. These operators tell Excel how to calculate a formula. That being said, let's start out with a simple formula and learn how to enter it into Excel and then learn the operators. We're going to open up a blank worksheet here, and we're going to start with a simple formula, 5 plus 2. Now, as we stated in an earlier lesson, the way we tell Excel that we're going to be doing a formula or a calculation is we start with an equal sign. So we're going to first start with an equal sign. And in this example, we wanted to do 5 plus 2. So we're literally going to type out 5 plus sign 2. Now we're going to hit enter. Excel has used that formula to calculate 7. So 7 appears here. But if we click on cell C3, it displays 7 here, and the formula in the formula bar is telling us what it's actually doing, which is it is summing up 5 plus 2. Now, in this formula, we are telling Excel to sum up 5 plus 2. The numbers here are 5 and 2. And in this equation, those numbers are known as the operands. Operands in Excel can either be a number or a cell. For instance, if we wanted to add the values of two cells, say D1 and D2, we could use that cell name instead of the number. This would be called a reference, and we'll talk more about references later. But for now, let's go to column D, and let's go to cell D1, which is right here, and let's type in a number. We'll type in a big number. And then under cell D2, we want to type in an even larger number. There we go. Now, as we can see in this formula here, we entered straight numbers equals 5 plus 2, but we could do references to cells instead. And so for this, we're going to start with an equal sign, and we are going to tell Excel, sum up D1 with D2. We hit enter, and now it is currently summing up D1 and D2, and you can see in the formula, we started with an equal sign, and we did, instead of numbers as the operands, we did cell references, D1 plus D2. Now, going back to this original equation of 5 plus 2, we discussed that 5 and 2 are the operands, and the plus symbol is called the operator. And you use operators to tell Excel what kind of calculation you want to perform. In this case, we want to add two numbers together to find the sum, which is 7. Excel recognizes 4 kinds of calculation operators. They are arithmetic operators, used to perform basic mathematical operations, such as adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So the arithmetic operators could be division, subtraction, multiplication, or it can be addition, such as how we started it off with. Those are arithmetic operators. The next type of operators that Excel recognizes are comparison operators. So comparison operators are used to compare values, and this would be the equal sign, the greater than sign, the less than sign, the greater than equal than sign, the less than equal than sign, or the not equal sign. The next type of operator that Excel recognizes are the text operators. And they are used to join two distinct text strings into a single string. In programming terms, this is commonly called concatenation. So if we wanted to combine the words global and warming, we would use the and sign, which connects two values to produce one continuous text value. So, give you an example. We have global warming. In this case, if we wanted to combine global and warming and they were in two different cells, we would give it an equal sign to tell Excel that this is going to be a formula or equation, some sort of calculation that it will perform, and we want to concatenate cells B9 and C9. And that should merge those two pieces of text from those two cells into one continuous text or word and put it into cell D9. And there it did it. Now, without looking at what is producing global warming, it just looks like it's two words put together. But if we click here, we can see the formula is actually B9 and C9. But we could even go fancy here and we could concatenate an additional space between the words. So what we could do is we do a quote space and let's hit enter, and that gives us a global space warming. Again, it's taking this cell and it's adding a space and then combining it with that cell. As you can see, B9 and space and C9 are being all concatenated. Now let's just add, I don't know, another cell here. Let's add to this mess C7, just for fun. And we can just do this, C7, and that's going to be a huge cell now. It's combining B9 and C9 with C7 with some spaces included. And this is the formula up here, and this is the result down here under D9. All right, let's just delete that. And let's go to the reference operators, which is the fourth type of operator that Excel recognizes. And this is used to combine ranges of cells for calculation. Reference operators can be a colon, it can be a comma, or it can be a space. And so we can do a colon, a comma, or the classic space. And these are the reference operators that you would use to select or reference a range of cells or specific cells. And to give you a brief example of how that would work, let's just say we have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And let's say we wanted to add A10 to B10 to C10 to D10. And one way we could do it is we could go to the formula bar here and do A10 plus B10 plus C10, 10 plus D10. That would be one way to do it, but that's a lot of typing for each cell. Instead, we could do a range of cells, and the way we could do that is we could go to the first cell and the last cell and just put a colon. So that specifies all the cells, that selects all the cells, and then we just would put a sum wrapper around it. And it would come out with the same result. Again, it would be sum of the range of cells between A10 and D10. In addition, you could specify, let's actually do this. Let's add 2, 4, 6. You could then use the comma operator here to specify cells outside the range. So we could do comma, whatever this was, this would be A12 and B12. A12, B12, and C12. We hit enter on that, and that's 21. And so basically what it's doing is if we click on this formula here, it's selecting a range of cells, A10 through D10, and then it's saying specific cells outside this range that we're going to be summing up, which would be A12, B12, and C12. And it's going to total that all out in E10. If you can see this. E10. So there you have it. There's the arithmetic operators, there are the comparison operators, there's the text operators, and then there is the reference operators. And those are the operators that Excel recognizes, and those are the operators that you'll be using frequently for your formulas and equations within Excel 2013. Now let's touch on creating formulas. In the last section, we learned to create a simple formula. Let's continue with constructing formulas. Let's say we wanted to create a weekly expense report in Excel. So let's go ahead and delete everything here. And let's follow the example here for we stop for gas twice on Tuesday and have two receipts, one for $29.92 and the other for $32.51. We'd click on the correct cell, in this case D4, and type in, so let's go to Tuesday, gas. Monday apparently was $18.47, but Tuesday was two receipts here. So we're going to use an equal sign, and we're saying 29.92 plus 32.51. We hit enter, and then it totals up for us. We click on the cell and we can see the calculation is performing, which is just a numeric operation, no cell referencing. Now if you want to see the formula again, you can just click on the cell. The formula will be visible in the formula bar, which we've gone over. You can also perform a calculation based on the values within a series of cells. Let's add up the figures in column D. The individual cell coordinates are D4, D5, and D6. We want the total to appear in D8 in the row called daily total. Select the cell D8 and verify your selection by checking the name box. All right, so let's just follow the example here. And so one way to easily do this, this may be considered a cheat, but the easiest way to do this would be to use the quick and convenient auto sum feature, which is right here under Formulas tab. Click here and it'll just auto sum it for you. If you want to see what Excel is doing, it's saying equal sign sum all the cells between C4 and C7. So it's going through the range of cells between C4 and C7, which includes everything we highlighted, and it's summing it up down here. But we're going to try to do this the old-fashioned way. We're going to go to the D column, and we want to sum up all of this information here and place it into the daily total. To do this, we go to the formula bar and we tell Excel that we are going to create an equation or a calculation, and we begin with the equal sign. Now we are going to tell Excel that we're going to do a sum, which is going to have parentheses, and the items that we're summing up will be located within the parentheses. Now we tell Excel what we want to sum up in this cell. This could be numbers, or it could be references. It could be references to cells. In this case, there are two ways we could do it. We could list each cell separately by a comma. So we could say that we want to sum up D4, D5, and D6, and we could just type those manually. And then we hit enter, and it's all done. We could also tell it a range of cells, since we want to calculate everything between the cells D4 and D6, and we would use a colon. We would come up with the same result. You'll notice that as you type each cell, the text changes colors, and the cell that is being used in the calculation will be outlined in that color as well. This gives you a visual representation of the selected range, which is very useful. As you can see, we click on here into this, and it shows us the range that we're referencing. There's also even easier ways. Of course, using the auto sum feature is one easy way, but let's just hit escape to cancel out of that. And we could also start another equation here for Wednesday, and we could say, and we created our sum function here, and rather than actually typing in the cells, we could highlight the cells, just like that. Then we hit enter, and it automatically calculates it. We could even select a non-adjacent range of cells by using the control key while selecting other cells. So we could hit the equal sign to tell Excel that we will be doing this. So we start with our sum function, and then now we can just go ahead and select any random number of cells, and it'll add them for us. And we hit enter, and now it's doing an assortment of different cells. One thing that I hope is a little bit obvious is what we like about these formulas is that they are formulas that calculate the information based on the current numbers within the cells. So if you change the cells at any time, your totals become instantly updated. That's why you want to use reference to cells in your equations and not actual numbers whenever possible, because that means that when the numbers change, all your totals will be correctly changed. Order of operation. So we're going to have to go to mathematics here that we learned in our school days. When constructing a formula, it's important to remember that Excel reads formulas from left to right using the natural order of arithmetic operation. In other words, Excel multiplies and divides before it adds and subtracts. If you want to add or subtract before it multiplies and divides, or you want two numbers multiplied first, then you must use parentheses. So pretty much the basic laws of mathematics apply when you're creating formulas for Excel. And of course that would make sense. So if we take this formula here, 5 plus, we have 5 plus 2 times 63, all right, that equals 136. But if for whatever reason we needed the 5 and 2 to be added first before it's multiplied or added to anything else, then we would need to get in here and use a parentheses, which of course would change the outcome of the answer. Instead of 136, it's 446. So that's very important about the order of operations, and if you need specific numbers added or subtracted first, you're going to have to use parentheses, just like you would in normal math. Okay, and I think we've gone over editing formulas. To edit a formula, you click on a cell with the formula, and you can hit F2 to get in there, or you can come up here to the formula bar and change stuff. If you want to get out of here, now be careful, because the second you click off here, it's going to start adding cells here. So you want to really remember the cancel button, which is the escape key. So to get out of here, so you don't make any changes to this formula, you hit escape. Now if you made changes, you would hit enter, but right now we don't want to make any changes, and we're just going to hit escape to get out of there. Formula errors. Sometimes when you type a formula in, instead of Excel calculating and providing you with the answer you're expecting, you'll get an error message such as pound name ? When this happens, Excel is letting you know that some element of either the formula or the cell in the formula is stopping Excel from doing this calculation. These type of error messages are called error values. When you see an error value appear, you must figure out what caused it, then edit the formula to fix the problem. All right, so we have some error messages here and what they mean. If you get the pound divs /0 error, I'm imagining that's a divide by 0 error. This is the error value shown when a formula requires division by a cell that contains the value 0 or is empty. You get a pound name ? This appears when a formula refers to a range name that doesn't exist. If it's D15 to D22, it can also appear when you don't put quotation marks around text used in a formula, because Excel will think the text is a range name. That's important. The null error, this appears when you insert a space instead of a comma to separate cell references that are used for arguments and functions. The pound num error, this appears if Excel finds a problem with a number in a formula, such as a wrong argument in a function or calculation that creates a number too large or too small to be represented. A pound reference error, this appears when Excel finds an invalid cell reference. If you delete a cell that's referenced in a formula, you might see this message. And the pound value error, this appears when you enter in the wrong type of argument or operator in a function. It can also appear when you enter a mathematical operation for a cell that contains text. Usually when you see these errors, they're caused by human error. You just need to follow the logic down and figure out where the misstep is. And if it's a complicated formula, it might take some time. It doesn't mean that Excel isn't working. Excel's working fine when you see these errors. It's just that there's an unexpected circumstance that either you didn't foresee or there's a typo in something. And Excel just can't do it. It's like as if you asked Excel to multiply cake with the number 2. That's going to produce an error.